Good morning. I am Ismar Diaz. I am a development manager with Zanathani. I've been in the sector of polyurethane for 38 years. I began working in the lab, doing chemical analysis of polyols, isocyanates. Then I worked in manufacturing. Then I worked with molded items, and then I worked with high-pressure machines, low-pressure machines, and other types of technologies. And then I went back to the development area, and today I develop applications for Zanathani here in Brazil. Zanathani's mission is to provide engineering products globally. These products will improve the consumer experience, improving the comfort, the acoustics, and the aesthetics, and we do it in a socially responsible way. Our vision, having a winning team that is valued by the client in manufacturing high quality and competitive products. Our values: we offer safe workplaces, and we promote the required profitability to create and maintain the jobs of our employees. We operate in the automotive industry, so we are strong in this sector. We work with the industry of buses and trucks, the refrigeration industry, the furniture industry, motorcycle, not only in Brazil but also in Argentina in this case. We work with the fitness equipment because we provide polyurethane. We also provide systems for electronics and also foams for the hospital use. What are semi-rigid foams? We're going to talk about this. Well, it is a polyurethane polymer with closed cells, and the density goes between 20 and 200 kilos per cubic meter. So you may use the open mode injection, closed mode injection processes, spray up application as well. You can do injections in blocks and slabs. So these are the most widely known in the market. We're going to talk about each of the key processes. So we have this automotive sealing, semi-rigid foam. It's a component that is widely used in the automotive industry. So we make the block densities go from 19 to 35. That will highly depend on the OEM. So this foam has a good tear resistance to permanent deformation as well, and good impact strength. So that's a composite that provides thermal insulation and acoustic insulation as well. So it's a quite versatile product for the automotive industry. So what are the advantages of the semi-rigid foams? Great capability to absorb impacts. This is one of the key characteristics of this material. Excellent thermal and acoustic insulation. Well, today this is very much important in the world that we live today with global warming. The weight reduction. So all clients are always interested in reducing the weight of their products, reducing costs. And semi-rigid polyurethane is a very good product for this kind of application, and it contributes for reducing energy consumption. PU can be used in wall insulation, for example, so it provides high efficiency to the HVAC equipment, and therefore it reduces the consumption of energy. In the automotive industry, let me tell you about the application of the semi-rigid foams in the cores for the headrests, absorbing impact, and also in the bolsters and the front seats to prevent displacement to the right or to the left should there be any abrupt car movements. So it's widely used in the automotive industry as well. We have another application in the sealing of a vehicle. So that's a van, a utility vehicle. The yellow parts are the semi-rigid foams. So there is high capacity for absorbing impact. It is easily molded. The foam is of low density. Everybody is interested in this because it reduces the weight of the vehicle and it reduces the consumption of fuel as well. And the tooling cost is much lower when we compare to the expanded thermoplastic technologies. So it's a very good application, and many kinds of vehicles are now using this kind of application. Another application is the foam to absorb impact. So this case is used for electronic components. The electronic components are quite sensitive to impact. So the semi-rigid polyurethane is quite interesting in this kind of application. It has a good performance. We can manufacture at low densities, and it really protects the electronics. It can be used on the door of vehicles. It's not what we call the curtain, but it's usually internally. Low density, semi-rigid foams, they have high capability of absorbing the impact, so it can be used on the lateral doors of vehicles. That reduces the risk of accident injuries. And the bumpers that are done with the semi-rigid foams, that's interesting. For cars that are not produced at a high volume, instead of using the EPP, the expanded foam, you can save on the costs of the tooling instead of using the expanded engineering plastics. So it's very suitable in terms of cost effectiveness. Something else that is quite interesting is the semi-rigid foam used in the sealing of buses. I mean urban buses as well as roadway buses. So it enables a great thermal and acoustic insulation. It improves the efficiency of the air conditioning system, and it reduces the consumption of the batteries used in buses. So it's highly positive, and it's quite easy to be applied. It reduces the weight of the bus as well. Today, there are some kinds of finishes that use different kinds of fillings, and this adds weight to the buses. So this kind of application is quite interesting to really reduce the weight of the vehicle and reduce the energy and fuel consumption as well. Something else that we use is the spray up process. It's widely used in North America and Europe, in colder countries, countries with colder weather. It provides a great thermal and acoustic insulation. It is much superior when compared to expanded thermoplastic. The K factor is quite excellent, and it is able to insulate the environments in a very efficient fashion. So much so that we can reduce the consumption of energy by air conditioning systems. You improve the efficiencies in the environment, and you also reduce the power consumption. So it's widely used in colder countries, and it's something new in South America. We're even breaking the paradigm in this case, because we are a tropical country, but things are changing in terms of the climate. Semi-rigid foam, in this case we use the biopolyol. It is in compliance with the environmental protection, so we have renewable sources for raw materials in this case. So Zanathani is deeply concerned in using renewable materials and not fossil materials because of the global warming and also because of the waste that can be generated. So this is quite interesting, and we use refrigerants. Refrigerants that have low emission of pollutants into the atmosphere. So you're all invited. We're going to be exhibiting at the trade show this year, Feiplar Feipur. It's going to be held from the 20th to the 22nd of August at São Paulo Expo, Pavilion number 5. We hope to see you there in our booth so that you can learn more about our products and talk to us and really get to know our company Zanathani in Brazil. Thank you, Ismar. We do have some questions, and I'll be asking the questions to you, okay? The semi-rigid foams from your company, how do they compare to other options in terms of the available materials in the market? Our foams, they provide reduction in the impact. They have high impact resistance. They may absorb noise as well. They provide a good acoustic insulation as well. So the cost of tooling, when we compare to closed mold technology, the tooling cost is much lower than that of the expanded thermoplastics. So that's one of the key differences in using our polymers. Another question. Is there any limitation, is there any specific challenge that the semi-rigid foam have in terms of application or performance? Any challenges? We do have a limitation with our foams. I mean, elongation strength or elongation resistance. When the elongation is above 40% and this is required, that's a challenge to us because it's a closed cell foam. So by nature, the elongation resistance is a weakness when we compare to a flexible foam. That's a whole different type of characteristic. So it can be elongated, but it's limited. So depending on the type of application that the client has, because we'll design the formulation according to the client needs in terms of hardness and density and absorption capacity and the color of the foam as well. So we do have a limitation in terms of elongation. That's a challenge to us. We can actually, provide good results, but that will depend on the client needs, and then we'll verify whether we can, address the elongation requirements. The semi-rigid foams, how can they be customized to meet the specific needs of the different industrial sectors? Well, at Zanathani, in our portfolio, and then in our lab, in our P&D department, we do have the capability and the structure to develop formulations with specific densities according to the client needs. I mean, addressing density, hardness, color, tear resistance, permanent deformation resistance, elongation, impact absorption. All of this is designed according to the client needs. It is personalized according to client requirements. Ismar, people are sending questions. You used less of your time, but you shouldn't go. We do have many questions here. So what are the key criteria that the companies should take into account upon deciding the adoption of the semi-rigid foams in their products or not? Well, the semi-rigid foams, they are interesting because depending on the application of the client, they may absorb impact. They do have the capability of reducing noise. They provide thermal and acoustic protection as well, and these are important requirements. If the client is willing to have a product that needs to reduce the tooling cost, the semi-rigid foam tooling cost is much lower when we compare to those of the expanded thermoplastic. So that's one of the advantages that we have.
There is another participant